I like Jurassic World Dominion. I know. There's a lot that I don't like, and I understand why many people dislike the movie overall, but this video isn't about that. This video is about what's good about Jurassic World Dominion, in my opinion. And Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World, which brought the franchise back from extinction in 2015. Maybe through my rose-colored glasses, you will appreciate Dominion and the other Jurassic World films just a tiny bit more, and you'll get all the more excited for Jurassic World Rebirth, which is now only 1 month away, and that second trailer especially sure makes it look very promising. Whether it will be a masterpiece like the original, or an overall disappointment like Dominion, we won't know until July 2nd. But one thing I do know is that, as we've seen in the trailers and as we've seen in every Jurassic movie, there will be at least some awesome dinosaur scenes. I think especially Dominion gets such a bad reputation that it's easy to forget that it's not all bad, at least in my opinion. So here are my favorite parts of the Jurassic World trilogy. One of my ultimate favorite things about Jurassic World is that it finally lets us see the dinosaur park in its full glory. It's Hammond's vision finally made reality, and in my opinion, the movie did such a good job at portraying the appeal of it that it kind of inadvertently undercuts the motivation for creating the Indominus Rex, because it's hard to imagine people not wanting to go to a place like this to see just dinosaurs.
No one's impressed by a dinosaur anymore.
Also, I'm obsessed with this balloon. I love this balloon. He's the main character. I need to know if he got out okay. I need to know if he's safe. As dystopian as it is to separate baby dinosaurs from their mothers, from their herds, for little human offspring to pet them and ride them and choke them, apparently. From a detached from reality point of view, I do like this. The shots we get of this. A bit of focus on babies being cute. In a similar vein, this river attraction? Amazing. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen, but it's so awesome. Please, Frontier, it's so awesome.
Hey, you want to see something else cool?
The best thing the Jurassic World trilogy did was introduce the Mosasaurus. It is my favorite addition to the franchise. This short scene gives me one of the biggest highs of any of the movies in the franchise, and again feeds into what I think Jurassic World does really well. Too well for its own plot, in that it makes you want to go to this park, ill-advised as it may be. I want to see a kaiju-sized Mosasaurus jump out of the water and splash me, sign me up. How can this movie really claim people don't get excited about this stuff anymore? But according to the movie's internal logic, the Indominus Rex was a necessary evil to boost sales, and so here it is. And, you know, plot contrivances aside, I do like how this scene reveals the Indominus without revealing it fully. I think they found a good balance between showing it, but at the same time leaving you curious to see the full thing, by partially hiding it with the framing or the gate or vehicles. This way, the reveal of the Indominus has a nice build up to it. First, just the name reveal, which is a little like, okay.
The Indominus Rex, our first genetically modified hybrid.
Then we get the information that it's so powerful and big that they needed to reinforce and extend the walls of the enclosure. We get to first experience the creature through the shock and fear of Masrani with one of the most quotable lines of the film.
Think it'll scare the kids?
The kids? This will give the parents nightmares.
Then we see more and more of it during its escape and the first attack on the ACU, but not until later with the kids in the gyrosphere do we actually see the full creature. It's movie monster reveal 101, but they do it well, so credit where credit is due. And speaking of the ACU attack, that is a fun scene in my opinion. You know, in the way mass murder can be fun. But yeah, sure, in a dinosaur movie, I'd say we can call that fun without being complete psychopaths, right? Anyway, the way the heart monitors of the ACU soldiers flatline in the control room I thought was a clever touch to this scene. A way to confirm just how many human deaths are happening without the movie having to risk its PG-13 rating. I thought it was visually interesting, and chilling and hammers the effect home for the characters in the control room who are left there watching those ominous flat lines knowing they are responsible. Okay, so remember me saying earlier that we can appreciate deaths in a dinosaur flick without being, psychopaths? Let's just pretend that's true, okay? Because Jurassic World gives us one of the most brutal deaths in the franchise, and it wants us to enjoy it, okay? I reject all responsibility. It is shot in a way for, like, awe factor. An argument could be made that it simply is the most brutal death. It's prolonged and horrifying, and it actively makes me feel sick. Like, I feel sick in my stomach imagining myself in that situation. But I think that's good. It's good for a movie to have a death affect you beyond the cool factor. So I like this death scene, although I'm aware that might be controversial. I will say, because I have to, taking the rose-colored glasses off for just a moment, they didn't nail the aftermath. The kids look at it for a moment, and yeah, they're shocked, but then afterwards it never seems to affect them. Claire doesn't even realize that her right-hand woman was brutally killed, so we don't get a reaction from her at all. So, like the ACU soldiers, it kind of flatlines.
Oh no! Anyway, last week...
If this horrific, undeserved death was treated with the gravitas it deserved afterwards, it would have been much better. That, or give this sick death to a villain who doesn't need to be mourned anyway. But in my opinion, non-villain characters should die, even when they don't deserve to die. Because dinosaurs, or in this case prehistoric reptiles, are just animals. They're not judge, jury, and executioner. They don't kill a character based on how evil they are. So I actually want to give props to Jurassic World for that as well, for killing a character that has done no wrong. But anyway, it's a good death. It's spectacular. It makes me sick, and they had the balls to kill a non-villain character. It's good. Probably the most cinematic shot of the film, and second only to the Mosasaurus leap in epicness, is the release and reveal of Rexy. I'm not gonna talk about the running in heels, I'm just talking about this shot of Claire holding her ground and the T-Rex slowly emerging from her pitch black enclosure. It's absolute cinema. This is like a Gareth Edwards kind of shot. I expect lots of good visuals comparable to this in Jurassic World Rebirth. While Jurassic Park was the first film to do a dinosaur fight, and Jurassic Park 3 was the first film to have Big Dino versus Big Dino, Jurassic World is the movie that made the big dino brawl at the end of the film part of the formula that apparently Universal has decided they need to keep to. But without putting that blame on Jurassic World, it is a cool fight, and in my opinion, it's the best fight in the franchise. Because Rexy versus the Raptors wasn't really a fight, that was just a slaughter. Jurassic World's dinosaur fight is a brutal clashing of two titans, well shot. It's a cool fight. And I like the Mosa coming in at the end, like the grumpy neighborhood grandpa coming off his porch to tell them damn kids to shut the fuck up. Before we move on to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, just to announce, I will be doing full reviews both with and without spoilers for Jurassic World Rebirth, so subscribe to the channel if you're curious to know what my verdict will be on the new film and how I'd rank it in the franchise overall. Alright then, Fallen Kingdom. It is my least favorite film in the franchise, so I struggled making a list of parts I do like. There's probably scenes in Fallen Kingdom that I don't mention that you think are some of the best bits, so share those in the comments. The start of the movie is so good. It's so suspenseful and really brings the horror vibes with the submarine part. Visually, it's stunning too, and not to mention it ends with the Mosasaurus doing its best trick, which is leap out of the water. I cannot sing the praises of this cold open enough. I've actually done a full video ranking all of the cold opens of every Jurassic film, so you can check that out after this video to see how I think it stacks up to the other opening scenes in the franchise. After the cold open though, it goes downhill pretty hard. That being said, there is stuff about it that I like, and let's get into it. For example, for starters, I do really like this shot of the compy where you think it's a toy at first. Blue mauling this dude is pretty brutal, and that's exactly what I want from my dinosaurs, but especially from my velociraptors. The gyrosphere scene, I think, is expertly done. It is very tragic and possibly gratuitously so, with all the dinosaurs leaping off the cliff to probably drown because the island is being destroyed behind them. Most, if not all, of these dinosaurs will have nowhere to go and will vanish under the waves. And that's way sadder than you'd expect a Jurassic film to get at this point. But sad is not a bad emotion for a film to evoke, so I like that. And of course the Brachiosaurus scene from a little later really hammers that home. And again, I think that's a good thing. I like the highs of seeing a Mosasaurus leap out of the water, but I also like the lows of feeling that clench in your chest and your throat and trying not to feel it too deeply because you don't want to cry in the theater during a freaking dinosaur movie. But back to the gyrosphere scene and the other aspect of it that I like, which is the suspense it builds. Obviously, you know these characters will survive, that's never in any sort of doubt, but it still gives me that claustrophobic feeling. And this is, for me, the first time I actually connect with the chemistry between Owen and Claire. I didn't like their relationship in the first movie at all, and I don't like it in Fallen Kingdom either, except for this scene where you can see her desperation and his determination to save her. Again, it's good. Unfortunately, after that, the only thing I really like are the shots at the very end, which got me very excited for the future of the franchise, because dinosaurs in our world is something I want to see explored through many different storylines. And dinosaurs in our mansion just didn't really cut it for me. Of course, at this point, we had no idea that Dominion would only marginally deliver. But before I talk about and defend Jurassic World Dominion, a quick shameless plug. I've written my own Jurassic story all about dinosaurs in our world. It's a sequel to Dominion, but with a whole new cast of characters. You can check out the audiobook on the channel. I'll link it at all the places in case you're interested. Alright, here we go. The best bits of Jurassic World Dominion and why I think this film isn't all bad, and in fact isn't even my least favorite in the franchise. Before I get into it, I feel like I must reiterate, I'm not pretending this film doesn't have severe flaws. Don't think I'm not aware of them, that I haven't noticed. I'm aware. I've noticed. I definitely like it less now than I did at first, but I never got to that point where I dislike it. I guess I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing and looking past the bad to enjoy the fun stuff. So let's talk about the fun stuff. In spite of its inaccuracies, the prehistoric short film that they tacked onto the start of the film was a nice change of pace. But more so than that, which wasn't a part of the theatrical release, I think Dominion was off to a good start with the T-Rex stomping through the drive-in movie theater. Not until later would we realize it's one of too few scenes of dinosaurs in our world, but seeing this for the first time, I was hooked because I've wanted more of this since the San Diego incident. One of my other biggest wants for the franchise is to depict herbivores as dangerous animals too, and this race through a herd of ceratopsians is one of the few scenes in the entire franchise that delivers on that. I think it's epic to see the power of the ceratopsians ramming and flipping vehicles. I also gotta give Dominion props for making one of Fallen Kingdom's worst characters, Franklin, actually pretty okay. He's not a deep, fleshed out character by any means, but at least he's not actively annoying. And the main characters are also improved in my opinion. Owen is less quippy, feels more mature. Claire is a rare character in the Jurassic World trilogy, actually having a character arc. And after 2 movies of not liking her at all, I really do like her in Dominion, and I think the relationship between Owen and Claire is endearing, which especially shines in 2 scenes taking place in the airplane on the way to Bison Valley. I thought it was a really heartfelt moment with good acting when Owen urges Claire to use the one ejection seat they have to save herself, to save Maisie. It's probably my favorite character moment in the entire Jurassic World trilogy. It pulls up my heartstrings. Finally, even Maisie, who, again, I did not like in Fallen Kingdom at all, I do find quite likable in Dominion. I will add the disclaimer that I did not like her on first viewings or just dismissed it as angsty teen that's annoying. Not until I rewatched the film was I kind of oddly charmed by the angsty teenager persona, and I ended up, not minding it, finding it kind of funny. I won't deny that there's missed opportunities with this character and the moral burden she should bear, but I don't dislike the character. Staying on the topic of characters, I know I'm being nostalgia baited with the return of the original trio, but I don't care. I enjoyed it. I loved seeing Alan and Ellie return, and for Dominion to undo the mistake that Jurassic Park 3 made, which was needlessly break them apart. Ian is probably my least favorite of the three in this film, but one line alone, poking fun at something that needs to be poked fun at, is enough to justify his weird attitude.
You made a promise to a dinosaur.
Another character I really like, which is the first and only Dominion exclusive, is Ramsey. While I really do enjoy the cast of characters we have for Jurassic World Rebirth, and I wouldn't want to see that changed, I'm really happy with the actors and the characters as we know them so far. Don't change a thing, love it. I also wouldn't have been mad at the series continuing with Ramsey somehow. Although I don't necessarily know how that story would work, I like this actor and I liked this character. And initially, after watching Dominion and realizing, they're gonna keep making these movies, I thought we were kind of set up to continue with Ramsey and Kayla. And again, I wouldn't have been mad at that. Not a huge fan of Kayla, but Ramsey, I don't know, really connected with that. One character I do dislike, and yes, still dislike, is Blue. That's a hot take, I know. I just don't like the extreme personification of this animal. I don't like her special relationship with Owen. Dominion doesn't change that for me, but what it does do is give us a whole lot less of Blue, so that's a positive for me. Okay, with the character stuff out of the way, let's talk about what I think is Dominion's truly redeeming quality, and that's the amount of awesome dinosaur action set pieces. I'm aware that the movie sacrificed pacing and general narrative flow to cram all these scenes into the film. I've likened it many times to game levels, where the playable characters go from one game level to the next with nothing but a cutscene in between to loosely tie it all together. But it did give us some great dinosaur action. Leonard versus Oviraptor was unexpectedly brutal and kind of funny in a sick, twisted way. The release of the Atrociraptors, I liked. The quick shot of the Allosaurus and the Carnotaurus at the town square wreaking havoc is fun. Again, in that psychotic way that we keep talking about. I'm discovering something very concerning about my personality here. Let's not dive into it. The Quetzalcoatlus attack on the airplane was jaw-dropping for me. The only thing wrong with it is that it's not long enough. And as I mentioned before, I liked the character scene that followed as well, so it was a good overall package. We finally get a feathered raptor in the franchise, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm still holding out hope for Utahraptor in a future installment. Another thing I liked is the animalistic exchange between the T-Rex and the Giga over a deer. Just two apex predators quickly testing each other out, and then Rexy deciding that a deer, which is little more than a light snack for her, just isn't worth risking injury over. Which is an excellent example of the dinosaurs just behaving like animals, and I feel like they accidentally did that quite well with the Giga. It wasn't their intention. Their intention was to give us the Joker in dinosaur form, but they actually gave us one of the more normal, quote-unquote, dinosaur villains. The Dimetrodon, I think, are a cool and unexpected addition to the franchise, but, of course, the best dinosaur scene, in my opinion, is the Therizinosaurus scene. Like I said earlier, I love herbivores being dangerous, and this scene does it so well. In my opinion, this is the best dangerous herbivore scene in the franchise, and there's not a whole lot of scenes it has to clear to claim that title, but I think it does. It feels so menacing, the way it emerges from the forest, slowly coming into frame to Claire's utter horror. The shock of it instantly killing the deer with a single flick of its claws startles a laugh out of you that nicely breaks up the tension in the scene, only for you to then get sucked right back into that feeling of dread as Claire slowly crawls across the forest floor with the Therizinosaurus lumbering after her. And she uses her brain to survive the situation. Rather than going full action hero, she outsmarts it by hiding in the water, which I think is how human characters should be surviving dinosaur situations, by using their brain and not their power, because obviously only in one of those aspects do we actually best dinosaurs. This is my favorite scene in Jurassic World Dominion and one of my favorite dinosaur scenes in the entire franchise. I hope Rebirth can capture this atmosphere too, because this feels more Jurassic Park to me. The slow, quiet terror, as opposed to the bombastic action that characterizes most of the Jurassic World trilogy. Let me know in a comment down below what your favorite parts of the Jurassic World trilogy are. This was the last part of Best Bits. If you want to continue this positivity streak, check out the Best Bits episodes for the Jurassic Park trilogy. I did a separate video for each film. I will link the playlist on screen and the individual videos in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, hype for Jurassic World Rebirth.